the way the athletics world moves, it's like very much onto the next thing. So as soon as I was ready to go back to training, I've just been in there, I've been out of the country a lot, so I've kind of just been focusing on the next thing. That's just how our world works. So for me, like Paris was great, but I've left that there now, and we're now focusing on like doing the next thing and maintaining that level.
Did you manage to buy that beige Porsche you were talking about?
You know, I actually changed my mind, I didn't want it anymore.
Do you feel now that a lot of people want a lot more of you, and is that a problem? Do you have to really sort of focus your mind not to get too distracted?
I think I'm pretty good at doing that. I said one thing I've noticed is like maybe a little bit more recognition. Like obviously I have a silver and now have a gold, and I think being one of the only gold medals of the Athletics Championships does make a little bit of a difference. But I have a really great team around me. Like I say, I don't spend a lot of time in the UK, so I get a lot of downtime away from that. And I come back and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, because there are quite a lot of examples of how difficult it is to deal with that sort of attention.
For me, that was just one thing I don't want to happen. Like for me, track and field will always take the main focus. I've had the privilege of that opening up doors to other really exciting things, but I am the type of person that if it gets in the way of training, I really don't like it. So I think that's a good skill that I've managed to pick up, and hopefully it keeps us on the narrow towards greater things. I always think it's hard to get to the top, but it's really hard as I'm learning to try and maintain that mindset and that place I took myself to get Olympic gold. It's now carrying that on.
Is one of the reasons why the Keely Classic is coming up is because you want to keep that ambition and you want to keep achieving?
It's really nice to have a meet kind of named after myself. It's a bit crazy, but two, it was also coming off the back of an Olympics. We get a lot of hype in track and field around the Olympics. It's one of the events of the championships. So you want to carry that spectatorship into, I compete all the time, you know, from January to September, we're always competing. And I just don't think the wider public know about that. And hopefully we can bring something a little bit different with the Keely Classic, put the best of Britain out there. And I love competing in a home crowd. Like when Britain is able to host an athletics meet like London Diamond League and hopefully this Keely Classic, like the atmosphere is amazing. I will always pick a home crowd over competing anywhere else because we just offer such great spectatorship.
Do you think that's part of what you can do now? Apart from all the success you want to have individually, you can also be, you can also keep athletics in people's minds, track and field in people's minds. For the majority of people, it is only once every 4 years, isn't it?
Yeah, that's something, I mean, I would love to do. Hopefully something like this event brings it on. Like, I'm not going to say it's my job to carry the sport in the UK. You know, we have a lot of amazing athletes, as well as myself, competing at the moment. We really are in an era, like I think at the Olympics, we won some of the most medals we have in a long time. And that shows, like, speaks for itself. We've got a lot of individual medals, silvers and bronzes, and it's amazing what everyone's doing at the moment, and just wish it was in people's faces a bit more.
Yeah, because it's watched by millions and millions and millions when it happens, but then it seems to just die away afterwards.
Yeah, I don't know if that's because maybe some things need to change, maybe it needs modernising a little bit, but I do think change scares a lot of people. You know, people ask for change and then they get it and they're a bit like, oh, I'm not sure. So hopefully the Keely Classic can bring some excitement around it and hopefully people enjoy watching.
How important is the world record on that weekend?
The world record is something I have been after for a couple of years now. It's really hard to get in that kind of shape at this time of year, like 155, I think 77, I think the record is. Special record because it was set on the exact day that I was born, which I think is almost a bit creepy. So it's definitely something that I feel like is mine. I've just been working towards the last couple of months, getting in the right shape so I can actually stand the line and just give it a go. You know, a lot of things have to go right for a world record to be broken, hence why I haven't broken it before, because it is a very hard record. But it's my first race post-Paris. I hope to just give it my best go, and if it's meant to be, it'll come off.
And then there's also the outdoor world record that
it's even harder.
Yeah. What are you, a second and a half off that at best at the moment?
Well, last year, 2024, was kind of the first time I'd realised that 153 was possible. Like the shape that me and my coaches got myself in was really exciting. Unfortunately, it didn't come out the 153, but I really believe it is there, and I'm just looking forward to seeing how fast we can go.
Both of those records actually have got a bit of a cloud over them, haven't they? Because of when they were broken, or when they were set rather. Do you feel these days that when you run, you're running in fair races?
Yeah, I do, to be fair. I think the women's 800 is actually very clean right now, and I think that's really exciting. I think where we've got now with the technology of the tracks and the shoes and things like that, it's really boosting track and field forwards because people are running fast times, you know, whether there's clouds over, whatever. The generation we have now, I think is really good, and I line up on a start line pretty confident.
Going back to what we were saying about track and field and keeping it in people's minds, and you said maybe it needs modernising. Can you give sort of examples of how that might happen? Is it about making track and field more sexy, for want of a better word?
I guess there's an area of glamorization that you could put towards it, but I just think it's indulging in the younger generation, my generation, I guess Gen Z, as you call it. I think a lot of athletes now have big social media followings. They're able to not only make money through that for themselves, but put the sport and the training out there and show people how hard it is, and also get their personalities across. I think that's what indulges people. But, you know, I don't know, we'll see. But hopefully, I think it is getting better. It's moving in the right direction. We've got new races coming in with the Grand Slam. We've got more funding in the Diamond League. World Athletics are working on new championships, and I think it's heading into an exciting space.
Also, I guess it's important if you're trying to sell your character or trying to get your character out there, not, to go out and do stuff as well. Don't hide away in between training.
Yeah, and not everybody wants to do that, and that's okay as well. Social media can be a scary place to want to put all of your personality on there. You know, I feel like I do little bits here and there, but training is hard, and doing stuff on top of that, especially funding it yourself. And there's some great examples of athletes out there that do really great YouTube channels and have got great sponsorships doing that. But it obviously comes with the side of, after training, having to edit everything together and things like that.
And you've been to Manchester United a few times, of course.
That was nice. I got to meet Sir Alex as well, which is, I think my mum she's a huge United fan, so she was kind of speechless when we met him.
Let's just go ahead 12 months. And what would you like to achieve in the next 12 months, if we're taking it year by year?
My aim is always to do better than the last. I think there's a lot to do this year. I've never competed in a World Indoor Championships. So every time I've tried, unfortunately, I've got injured. So it would be nice to do that in China in March. And I don't have a World Outdoor Championship gold. So there are two pretty big world titles I don't have that would be nice to aim for. And I just would like to PB, whatever that is, a record or not, I'm not sure, but we'll see.
And you've still got the hunger, obviously.
Yes, yeah, I think I enjoyed competing so much last year. Like, I just can't wait to get back out. It's exciting. It breaks up the hard training and it really brings out the best in me.